The first thing I saw wasn't my mother's coffin. It was my wife's hand, cold, steady, unshaking, holding out a stack of papers. "Sign it," she said softly. "Right there, beside my mother's grave." For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. The wind was heavy that day. The sky was gray, hanging low like it was mourning with me. People dressed in black stood around the graveyard, whispering condolences, wiping tears, and yet somehow everything went silent in that 1 second. "Claire," I muttered, my voice dry. "What are you doing?" She didn't blink. Ending something that should have ended a long time ago. The words didn't just hurt, they shattered something inside me. And just like that, on the worst day of my life, I realized something terrifying. My wife wasn't here to mourn with me. She was here to bury me too. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. I always love seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy deep, emotional stories like this, go ahead and subscribe to Crowned Tales. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Because trust me, this story, it gets a lot darker. My name is Daniel Carter. 3 days ago, I buried my mother. And somehow, that wasn't even the worst part. You see, to the outside world, my life looked average. I worked a modest job as an operations manager at a logistics company. Nothing glamorous, nothing flashy. Just enough to pay the bills and keep things steady. My wife, Claire, on the other hand, she was different. Beautiful, ambitious, always chasing something bigger. When we met, she loved the simplicity of my life. Said it made her feel safe. Said I was the kind of man she could build a future with. But over time, safe became boring. Simple became not enough. And slowly, she started changing. Late nights at work, new friends I never met, phone calls she would take outside, and the way she started looking at me, like I was something she had outgrown. I noticed it. Of course I did. But I ignored it. Because I loved her. And because my mother always told me, real love is patient, Daniel. Don't give up too easily. My mother, she was everything to me. After my father died when I was young, she raised me alone, worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything just to make sure I had a future. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and that was enough, until it wasn't. The day she got sick, everything changed. It started small, just fatigue, a little cough. Then came the hospital visits, then the tests, then the silence from the doctors. I still remember the way she looked at me when they told us, "Stage 4, too late." There was nothing they could do. I tried to stay strong, for her. But every day, I watched the woman who gave me everything slowly fade away. And during all of that, Claire? She was there. But not really. She'd visit sometimes, stay for a few minutes, then leave, saying she had important meetings. At first, I understood. But then, one night, I came home from the hospital earlier than usual. And I saw something. Something I wish I hadn't. Claire's car was parked outside. But she wasn't alone. There was another car, a black Mercedes, engine still warm. I didn't think much of it at first, until I walked in and heard voices, laughter, coming from upstairs. Our bedroom. I froze. Every instinct in my body told me to leave, to pretend I hadn't heard anything. But I couldn't. Slowly, quietly, I walked up the stairs, each step heavier than the last. And then I heard it, a man's voice, low, confident, comfortable, in my house, in my bedroom. I pushed the door open, and there they were, Claire and another man, wrapped in each other like I didn't exist, like I had never existed. She didn't scream. She didn't panic. She didn't even look ashamed. She just sighed, like I had interrupted something trivial. "Oh, you're home early." That was it. That was all she said. The man beside her smirked, didn't even bother covering himself properly. "Guess this is the husband," he said casually. I stood there, heart pounding, mind blank, everything inside me screaming, but nothing coming out. "Claire," I finally whispered. "What is this?" She sat up slowly, fixing her hair. "What does it look like, Daniel?" That moment, that exact moment, something inside me broke. Not loudly, Not dramatically, just quietly, like a glass cracking under pressure. "I've been meaning to tell you," she continued, her voice calm. "This isn't working anymore." "Not working?" I repeated. "Yes," she said. "You're stagnant, Daniel. You have no ambition, no drive. You're comfortable being average. Average. That word hit harder than anything else. And him?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Is he, what, better?" She smiled, and for the first time, I saw something in her eyes I had never seen before. "Disrespect. He owns 3 companies," she said proudly. "He knows how to win." The man chuckled. "Nothing personal, man," he added. "You just can't compete." I should have fought. I should have yelled. I should have done something, but I didn't. Because at that exact moment, my phone rang. It was the hospital. I answered it with trembling hands. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then the doctor's voice. "Mr. Carter, I'm sorry. You need to come immediately." Everything else faded. Claire. The man. The betrayal. None of it mattered anymore. Because deep down, I already knew. When I got to the hospital, it was too late. My mother was gone. I didn't cry immediately. I just stood there, holding her hand, cold, still, gone. And as I stood there, I made a promise. Not out loud, not for anyone else to hear, but deep inside my heart, I would survive this, no matter what. The funeral was 3 days later, and that's when everything came crashing down. Back to that moment, standing by my mother's grave, Claire holding out those papers. "Sign it," she repeated. I looked at the documents, divorce papers, already filled, already prepared. "You couldn't even wait?" I asked quietly. She shrugged. "It's better this way, clean, quick." Clean, quick, like our entire marriage meant nothing. "Is he here?" I asked, scanning the crowd. She smiled faintly. "Of course." And there he was, standing a few meters away, dressed in black, like he belonged there, like he had the right. Something inside me burned, but I held it in, because this wasn't about them. Not right now. This was about my mother. I took the pen, my hand shaking slightly, and without another word, I signed. Claire took the papers, relief flashing across her face. "Thank you," she said, like I had done her a favor. And just like that, she walked away. With him, without looking back. People whispered, some in shock, some in pity. But I didn't care, because as the last handful of dirt hit my mother's coffin, I felt something shift inside me, a strange calm. That night, after everyone left, I went back to the house, empty, silent, cold. Claire had already packed most of her things. Clothes gone, shoes gone, even some furniture missing. Like she had been preparing for this moment for weeks, maybe months. I walked into the living room and saw something I hadn't noticed before. A letter on the table. It had my name on it, written in my mother's handwriting. My heart skipped, slowly, carefully. I picked it up. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a single note and a key. The note read, "Daniel, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything in person, but there are things you need to know, things I've kept hidden, to protect you. Go to the address on the back. Take the key. And remember, you are not who you think you are." I froze. What did that even mean? You are not who you think you are. I turned the paper over and saw an address, one I had never seen before. A cold chill ran down my spine, because suddenly everything felt wrong. My entire life, everything I thought I knew, started to feel like a lie. And at that exact moment, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. It was a picture of Claire and her lover, standing in front of a massive mansion, smiling, holding hands. And the message below it said, "Thanks for everything, Daniel. You were useful." My grip tightened around the phone, my chest burning, my vision blurring. But then I noticed something else in the picture, something small, something almost invisible, a symbol on the gate behind them, a symbol that looked exactly like the one engraved on the key my mother left me. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something much bigger, something my mother had been hiding my entire life. And whatever it was, Claire had just walked straight into it. Without even knowing, I slowly closed my hand around the key, my heart pounding louder than ever. "Mom," I whispered, "what did you leave me?" Because one thing was suddenly very clear. My wife didn't just leave me, she may have just made the biggest mistake of her life. And I was about to find out why. The key felt heavier than it should have. Like it carried more than just metal. Like it carried answers, or maybe a truth I wasn't ready for. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw everything at once. My mother's lifeless face, Claire's cold expression, that message, "You were useful," and that symbol. That same symbol carved into the key now resting in my palm. By sunrise, I was already in my car, driving toward the address on the back of the letter. The road led me out of the city, past familiar streets, past the places I had known my entire life, and then into somewhere else entirely. The houses grew bigger, the gates taller, the silence louder. This wasn't just a wealthy area. This was power, old money, the kind that didn't need to show off, because everyone already knew. And then I saw it. A massive iron gate, black, towering, with the same symbol engraved at its center. My heart started racing. I stepped out of the car slowly. The air felt different here, still, heavy, like it was watching me. With shaking hands, I pulled out the key. For a second, I hesitated, because deep down, I knew. Once I opened that gate, everything would change, but I had already lost everything. What else was there to fear? I slid the key into the lock. Click! The sound echoed louder than it should have. And just like that, the gates slowly creaked open, revealing a long driveway, lined with trees, leading to a mansion so large. It didn't feel real. "This can't be," I whispered. I drove in, slowly, every second feeling like a dream I couldn't wake up from. When I reached the front, the doors opened before I even knocked, and that's when I saw them. A line of people, standing still, perfectly aligned. Men and women in formal attire, eyes forward, waiting for me. At the front stood an older man, sharp suit, silver hair, eyes that looked like they had seen everything. He stepped forward, and then he bowed. "Welcome home, Mr. Carter." I froze. "What did you just say?" He straightened, his expression calm. "My name is Victor Hale. I have been waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" I repeated. "There has to be a mistake. I don't belong here." A faint smile touched his lips. "That is what your mother wanted you to believe." My chest tightened. "What is this place?" I asked. He gestured toward the mansion. "This is your inheritance." The words didn't register. "My what?" "Everything you see here," Victor continued, "belongs to you. It always has." I shook my head. "No, that's not possible. We struggled our entire lives. My mother worked herself to exhaustion just to survive." "Yes," he interrupted gently. "By choice." Silence. The world tilted. "Your mother," he said slowly, "was not just a hard-working woman." He paused, watching my reaction, then finished. "She was the sole heir to one of the most powerful private conglomerates in the country." My breath caught. "No." "Yes," Victor said. "And now, so are you." Everything inside me went still. Every memory, every struggle, every moment we barely made it. A lie. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would she hide this from me?" Victor's gaze softened slightly. "To protect you." "From what?" His expression darkened. "From people who would see you not as a son, but as an opportunity." And suddenly, Claire's face flashed in my mind. My stomach dropped. "She knew," I said slowly. Victor didn't answer immediately, which was answer enough. "No," I stepped back. "No, she didn't. She couldn't have." "She didn't know everything," he said carefully. "But she knew enough." The air left my lungs. "She knew you were more than what you appeared to be. That staying with you might one day give her access to something greater." My hands clenched into fists. "So all this time—" "Yes," Victor said quietly. "You were being evaluated." Evaluated, used, measured. That message suddenly made perfect sense. You were useful. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. And she thinks she won. Victor raised an eyebrow. Do you believe she has? I looked up, and for the first time since everything began, I felt something different. Not pain, not grief, something sharper. Control. No, I said slowly. She just made the biggest mistake of her life. Victor studied me for a moment. Then, he smiled. Not politely, not formally, but with something that almost looked like approval. Good, he said, because there is something you should know. What? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. The man she left you for. My jaw tightened. Yes? Victor's eyes locked onto mine. He is one of our competitors. The ground seemed to shift beneath me. And not just any competitor, Victor continued. He has been trying to get close to this family for years. A cold realization crept in. So this wasn't random. No, Victor said. It was strategic. Everything clicked. Claire. The affair, the timing, the divorce at the funeral. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a move. A calculated, planned, cold move. They thought I was nothing, I muttered. Victor tilted his head slightly. And now, I looked at the mansion, the gates, the people waiting inside, then back at him. Now, I said, my voice steady. They're about to find out exactly who they messed with. Victor nodded once. Then allow me to show you what you've inherited. What followed didn't feel real. Rooms filled with art worth millions. Screens showing live data from companies across the globe. Names I had only ever seen in news headlines. Connected, owned, controlled by me, or rather, by the family I never knew I belonged to. For hours, Victor explained everything. The businesses, the influence, the power, and the rules. Power, he said at one point, is not about showing strength. It is about controlling outcomes, without anyone realizing you were involved. I listened. I learned. I absorbed everything. Because deep down, I knew. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about transformation. That night, I stood in front of a mirror, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than my old car. And for the first time in my life, I didn't see the same man staring back at me. Daniel Carter, the average husband, was gone. In his place was something else, something Claire would never recognize. And that's exactly how I wanted it. Where are they? I asked Victor. He didn't need clarification. He already knew. The mansion in the photograph, he said. Belongs to him. Good. I adjusted my cuffs. Let's pay them a visit. Victor smiled faintly. As you wish. That night, we drove to the address, the same mansion from the photo. Lights glowing, music playing, laughter echoing from inside. A celebration of what they thought was a victory. How poetic, Victor murmured. I stepped out of the car, calm, focused, unrecognizable. The guards at the gate moved to stop me. Invitation only. They'll want to see me, I said simply. Something in my voice made them hesitate. One of them spoke into a radio. Moments later, the gates opened, and just like that, I walked in. The party was alive. Champagne, music, people in expensive suits and dresses. And there, in the center of it all, Claire, laughing, glowing, like she had just won the world. Beside her, him, the man who thought he had taken everything from me. Their eyes met mine, and in that instant, everything changed. Claire's smile faded. Confusion. Then shock. Daniel? She whispered. Her lover frowned. What is he doing here? I walked toward them slowly, every step deliberate. Controlled, the room grew quieter, eyes turning, whispers spreading. Impossible. Isn't that her ex? What is he wearing? I stopped right in front of them. Claire looked me up and down, like she was trying to understand what she was seeing. You look different, she said. I smiled slightly. So do you, I replied. Her lover stepped forward, irritated, protective. You've got some nerve showing up here, he said. This isn't your level. I looked at him, really looked at him. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger, just inevitability. You're right, I said calmly. This isn't my level. He smirked. Then leave. I tilted my head slightly. No. The room went completely silent. Because you see, I continued, this house. I glanced around, then back at him. Won't belong to you much longer. His expression hardened. What are you talking about? I stepped closer, just enough so only they could hear me. And then I said the words, that would change everything. I'm the one your investors have been trying to impress. His face went pale. Claire's eyes widened. And just like that, the power shifted. Completely.